To be the Dean of the University of California Irvine School of Law. We're here today to confer the degree of Juris Doctor on 85 wonderful men and women, the University of California Irvine School of Law, class of 2013. This is an occasion to celebrate their accomplishments and their hard work, which now qualify each of them to join the profession responsible for ensuring justice in our society. None of us, not as individuals or as an institution, got here on our own. I think it is only appropriate then that we begin by recognizing and thanking so many who got us to this point in time. First, each of our graduates was helped enormously before and during law school by parents, by partners and spouses, and by children. You've guided the graduates and been there for them through the hard work and the ups and downs of law school. You have provided financial support, emotional support, and love. I would like to ask all of the parents, partners and spouses, and children of the graduates to stand. I'd like the class of 2013 and everyone here to join in thanking them. Every aspect of the law school is implemented by a tremendously talented group of administrators and staff. I've been a law professor for 33 years at several different law schools, and this is by far the best group of administrators and staffs that I've ever seen. I'd like to ask my associate and assistant deans and all of the staff of UCI Law School to rise so we can thank them. Take a moment and recognize and thank our wonderful Interim Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost Sue Bryant. She's been a professor at UCI for 40 years, is a world-renowned biologist, is Dean of Biological Sciences, is Vice Chancellor for Research, and this year, our EVC and Provost. She's been tremendously supportive of the law school in every way. Please join me in thanking Sue Bryant. Ultimately, the quality of a law school is a product of two key components: the students and the faculty. These 33 men and women are full-time faculty. They've taught the class of 2013 in the classrooms, in their offices, in the halls, and in their homes. They've imparted great knowledge of the law and hopefully wisdom and inspiration as well. It is in every way a wonderful faculty. You might have seen a study done last summer by some professors in Minnesota that ranked law school faculties in terms of their scholarship. Our faculty was ranked 7th in the country, and Yale, There's Yale, Harvard, University of Chicago, Stanford, NYU, and Columbia. And it is even better as a teaching faculty. To introduce our faculty and to offer remarks, I would like to call on a very special person for this campus, and particularly for our law school. One of the concepts that all law students learn is causation. They learn of what is termed but-for causation. The person I want to introduce you to is truly the but-for cause of UCI Law School. But for Chancellor Michael Drake, UCI Law School would not exist, and certainly at not this level of excellence. Michael Drake arrived at UCI as Chancellor in 2005. At the time, he was the Vice President for Medical Education for the University of California. He was previously a professor in medicine at the University of California at San Francisco. He took everyone's dream of having a law school at UCI and made it happen. He secured the approval of the Board of Regents and overcame the opponents. He has insisted that we be a top law school from the outset. He ensured that we had the resources to make it happen. Please join me in recognizing our wonderful Chancellor, Michael Drake.
Thank you very much, Erwin. Welcome, good morning. It's great to be here today and great to have a chance to see all of you. One of the things that's the greatest pleasures of the graduation ceremonies that we do is that we get to sit on the stage and look at the incredible graduates who are coming to receive their degrees, and also the families and friends and loved ones and supporters and the beaming faces. It's the largest group of happiest faces that we ever see, and so it's always a wonderful morning. I'd like to begin though by acknowledging the members of the faculty of the School of Law. They joined our university from some of the finest institutions in the country and have dedicated themselves to building a rigorous curriculum and an exemplary school. As the Dean mentioned, they, as a collective group and based on their scholarship, are ranked 7th in the United States. And he mentioned the schools again that I'll repeat. They're ranked after, and I won't do them in perhaps the correct order, but it's Yale, Harvard, University of Chicago, Stanford, NYU, and Columbia. All private schools with huge endowments, some 100 years old, some 200 years old, some 300 years old. And then number 7, and first among all the public universities in the country, is the University of California, Irvine, also the newest. So I want to mention that because that's actually almost impossible to imagine, that you could join such a competitive field with people who've been doing things for centuries and rise quickly to the top in your productivity and your quality. And it's based on the people who are seated behind me on the stage. So please, let me have the dedicated law librarians, the assistant deans, and the faculty who are seated behind me. Will you all please rise and be acknowledged? And congratulations also to the class of 2013. And actually, as I'm standing here, I see a couple people who look like they're in the class of 2038 as well. So it's nice to plan for the future, getting an early start. But so many years of anticipation, so many hours and hours of hard work, so much focus, and finally, almost suddenly, this day is here. You've met and worked alongside outstanding classmates. You've been supported by families and friends. And now you've graduated from law school with a history of a very high bar pass rate. So after a couple days of celebration, you know you're going on to great things very soon. Let me give you pre-congratulations for that. And one nice thing about this, one thing that's very special is this is your law school. You, like the class before you, joined this school before we were accredited, before there was a track record. You had the confidence and the focus and the perseverance to say that this is going to be an outstanding effort, but you knew also that you would be builders and pioneers, and not just students following a pathway that had been well worn. We applaud you for your faith, and we're sure that you made the right decision. The UCI Law School enjoys a national reputation for outstanding faculty, staff, and leadership. But I particularly want to recognize our founding dean, Erwin Chemerinsky. He had the enviable and challenging task of assembling and guiding the faculty, who themselves had the task of nurturing this special school. The past few years have been a time of severe financial crisis and budget cuts all across the country, and they've affected California and the University of California severely. But thanks to the hard work, the lofty vision, the creativity, and the talent of the best teachers and our incomparable dean, we are here today. Thank you again. Thanks again to all of you. There's several more speakers to come, so I won't take much time. There are three things basically that graduation speeches are supposed to do. You're supposed to congratulate the graduates. Congratulations. You acknowledge the critical role of the faculty and staff. So done. And then finally, offer some words of advice, something that's memorable that people can take away. And that becomes sometimes challenging, so I'm going to deviate a little bit and share something that actually is from last week that I believe is not so much a lesson for law. And my wife is a lawyer, and I have a son who's a lawyer who's actually getting another degree, so we go off for his graduation tomorrow. So I've been, and I will be tomorrow, a parent. So those are wonderful things. I want to deviate a little bit from law school and education and share a life lesson that I was able to experience just a week ago. And it was related to our university. We are a non-football school. We participate actively in Olympic sports. And the sport that we're most successful in is volleyball. And so last week was the national championship for the NC2A in volleyball. And we compete against all the schools with $100 million and $150 million athletic budgets. But we've been wonderfully successful, and we're national champions last year. And this year, although not the top-rated school in the country, made it to the final match, and we were in the championship. So that was good. We enjoyed it, and we were happy. During the match, and this is not so specific, but if you know anything, I don't know much about volleyball, but I'll say that volleyball, the scoring is such that it's hard to get more than a point or two at a time. So the matches are routinely very close. And we were playing the #1 ranked team in the country. And in the second set of this 3-set match, we were behind 11-4. And I'd actually never seen a match when any team had been behind as much as 11-4. And therefore, of course, never when anyone had been behind as much as 11-4 and gone on to win a match. And the coach called a timeout, called the players over. The players chatted among the players, the coaches among the coaches. And then when they were walking back onto the floor, the coach said, 1 point at a time. And that's a great cliche. I mean, that's the kind of thing you'd say when you're in an insurmountable hole or you're facing an obstacle that you can't overcome. You'd say, okay, just 1 step at a time, move forward, great. And you know, what happens in life is 1 step at a time as you prepare for defeat, you know. But that's what practical life would teach us. And the coach said one point at a time, but you know, that was hopeless. Then the team went out, and there was 11-4, and then they won a point, there was 11-5, and then they won a point, there was 11-6, and then 11-7, and then ultimately, amazingly, tied the set, and then won the second set, and then after 3 match points, won the national championship again. And what I remember is the calm focus that they used in 1 point at a time, 1 step at a time, moving forward, setting your mind on a goal, having a plan, and saying, I can get there if I just move forward 1 step at a time. If I don't think about my circumstances and the fact that all is lost, and say, I can move forward 1 step at a time. And so I found myself after this reflecting back on that and thinking what a good reflection it was of what we can do if we stay focused on our goals in our lives or in our profession, that if we move forward 1 step at a time, doing what we have control over, we get at the end of the day to the outcome that we're looking for. We have 4 pillars of excellence that we build our university around. We build the university on academic excellence, on research excellence, on leadership excellence, and also on character excellence. And I found this to be a great example of character excellence. And when you have your vision and mission in mind, when you have the ability, what you do is you focus on the task at hand. If you do this, you can win national championships against the odds, or you can create the most outstanding new law school in the United States of America. Or you can build a successful career and have a fulfilling life in which you enjoy the admiration and respect of your professional peers and the love and support of your family and friends. Congratulations to all of you on a job well done. We are very, very proud of you, and we wish you all the best in the future. Thank you again, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Drake. It is our tradition to have the graduating students choose a classmate to deliver remarks. And the class of 2013 could not have done better in its choice. David Ferrucci graduated from the University of California, Santa Barbara with a Bachelor of Arts with high honors, a distinction in political science, and a minor in history. He's an accomplished guitarist and singer. He's enriched our law school in so many ways during his 3 years here. He has a special interest in the legal rights of senior citizens and spent considerable time working at the Legal Aid Society of Orange County on these issues. David has been accepted into the University of California Santa Barbara's graduate program in public planning, which he'll be attending next year. Please join me in welcoming the student speaker for this year's commencement, David Ferrucci.
Ladies and gentlemen, administration, faculty, and staff, fellow classmates, family and friends, Chief Justice, Chancellor Drake, and Dean Chemerinsky. Allow me to begin by addressing the one question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind here today. Why was I, David Ferrucci, chosen to be the commencement speaker for the second graduating class ever at UCI Law School? Well, no matter what I've been telling my parents, it's not because I was class valedictorian. My grading towards class took care of that. Maybe since my younger sister, Katie Ferrucci, is also a student at this law school, my classmates wanted the first of UCI Law's great legacy family to speak. But probably not, because this is a state school. So I believe that my classmates chose me for this job because they knew I would prepare for this speech with the level of research and investigation that it deserves. As you may know, from the very beginning, the founders of UC Irvine intended that a law school be part of this university. And Chancellor Drake has told us that he found an early map of the school that had on it drawn a spot for a future law school, pretty much where our law school is today. Well, I dug through our school archives, and I found a handwritten document dated February 15, 1964, entitled Notes from Meeting Regarding Future Law School. And I thought I might read a few of their notes at the top here. At the top here it says, admit first class of students, and then if absolutely necessary, admit a second class of students. This one says here, so it's kind of specific, admit one Ferrucci, and if that doesn't work out, admit another Ferrucci. Alright, this is good advice for new law school. If the library doesn't have a lot of books from the start, fine oil paintings and Amish rocking chairs are a good distraction. This is also kind of advice. No milestone is too small to celebrate with cake. Says here, consider cake for the end of the student's first day of class, the first week, first semester, first year, halfway point between their first day and their graduating day, the first day of their last year, and if there's any cake left, graduation. And then this last one, this is good. It says, for advertising and public relations, consider hiring Sterling Cooper Draper Price. And if they're unavailable or more likely fictional, then 2 words, Rex Bossert. Now, when we started law school here, our school was relatively new, but even if it wasn't a new law school would still be new for all of us. None of us had ever been law students before. You don't learn law as high school students or undergraduates, so we had to count on and trust our law professors here to teach us law's broadest concepts, its nuanced intricacies, and everything in between. And their doors were always open to us. The same was true for our administration and staff. And also the lawyers we worked with in pro bono projects, summer jobs, and clinics assignments gave us their time not just as supervisors, but as mentors. And we thank them all for their devotion to our success. And also, you know, many of us have never made a financial investment like this before. A lot of us are paying more for law school than we've ever earned an income in our entire lives. But our class was fortunate enough to receive sizable scholarships and also summer stipends for those of us doing public interest work. So we thank all of our law school donors, our partners, and also the students who chipped in. Your generosity was truly helpful. And finally, many of us have never made a commitment to time like this before. Beyond reading for class and preparing for exams, we sacrificed evenings and weekends to extracurricular activities and volunteer projects. So we thank our family and friends for their much-needed understanding and support, and for putting up with all of our law school stories that I'm sure were so inside that they're indecipherable. Now, as newspaper headlines will tell you today, going to law school isn't the most popular career move right now. And the World Wide Web is fraught with stories and opinions detailing the problems in legal education today. But it's not just on the internet. 2 weeks ago, at a coffee shop, this older gentleman asked me and my girlfriend Jessica what we were studying for. And when we told him law school, he said, you know, that's another problem with this country. Too many of our best minds are becoming lawyers. They should be doing something productive. They should be entrepreneurs. As a matter of fact, I heard U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia say the same thing on C-SPAN in 2009, except he didn't say they should be entrepreneurs. He said they should be out inventing the automobile. So, now there are certainly problems in legal education today, and I hope that our school continues to be part of the solution. And maybe the guy from the coffee shop and Justice Scalia are right, that too many people are going to law school who should be doing something else. But that's not the whole story. So what do you say to the guy at the coffee shop? Well, you want to say that we know the positive impact that lawyers can have on people's lives, because we've already made an impact as law students. Students in our class have helped Iraqi refugees in Jordan, hurricane and oil spill victims in Mississippi, and here in Orange County, the homeless, senior citizens, children, victims of domestic violence. I can't even begin to tell you the impact that our class has already had on people's lives. You might also want to say that we get to step into the arena and do exciting and challenging work. Students in our class have worked with attorneys preparing for arguments before the U.S. Supreme Court, and even argued themselves before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is a very big deal. But you might also want to say, look, I'm just trying my best to make it in life. I'm trying to build a career that I could be proud of, that can also support my family and myself. Now, in our quest to make it, we will all continue to have a positive impact on people's lives. And some of us will end up in positions regarded as politically influential or posts of community leadership. And since Dean Chemerinsky rarely does it himself, I'm not going to hand out free advice. But I will ask all of you for 3 favors. First, if you have an opportunity to make anything, big or small, better, or at least more reasonable, please take it. Second, if you make a mistake, or even if things you promised beyond your control changed, just please apologize. Just say you're sorry. I think people are more forgiving than they are willing to apologize. The worst is when you mess up and then try to act like it was all part of the plan. People can see right through that. You can probably pick up points with people by just admitting what happened. And third, please try to be as kind, generous, and caring, and display as much humility to the people around you as Dean Chemerinsky has to us. We may not all have it in us to become America's #1 constitutional scholar, but we all certainly have it in us to display the Dean's kindness. Now, as Dean Chemerinsky said at his commencement at UC Berkeley's law school in 2009, third and finally, he had 2 points before that, so finally, I had 3 points. My first point, second, and I told you there'd be a third. Here it is. Third and finally, make a difference. Over and again, we hear people say that there is a problem and someone should do something about it. As lawyers, you are the ones who can do something. So, I am so honored. I'm so honored and also probably a little bit sorry. Anyway, I'm so honored and also touched that my classmates selected me to speak on their behalf. I can't believe you guys wanted me to do this, and I still can't believe I got into this school. So, thank you all very much. And now, please welcome to the stage members of the Class Gift Committee.
It is the tradition at commencements across the country to invite a distinguished speaker to offer remarks. We could not possibly have a more distinguished or inspirational speaker than we do today, the Chief Justice of California, Tani Cantil-Sakauye. The Chief Justice was born in Sacramento, California, and attended Sacramento City College, and then graduated from the University of California at Davis. She then attended and graduated from King Hall, the University of California Davis School of Law. She took a job with the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office as a Deputy District Attorney. She distinguished herself as an outstanding prosecutor, and then in 1988, she left the District Attorney's Office to a Deputy Legal Affairs Secretary to Governor George Deukmejian. The next year, Governor Deukmejian appointed her to be a Deputy Legislative Secretary. In 1990, Governor Deukmejian appointed her as a judge of the Sacramento Municipal Court. She was 31 years old when she became a judge. In 1997, Governor Pete Wilson appointed a Superior Court, and then in 2005, she was appointed a Justice of the California Court of Appeal. On July 21st, 2010, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger appointed her to be the Chief Justice of California. On August 25th, she was unanimously confirmed, and soon after, the California voters unanimously approved her for a 12-year term. She has the reputation of being a brilliant and compassionate judge and a terrific judicial administrator. It is with great pleasure, then, I introduce you to the commencement speaker for the class of 2013, the Chief Justice of California, Tani Cantil-Sakauye.
Good morning. It is indeed a pleasure to be part of this new and stellar tradition at UCI. I join in the admiration and respect for you and for your family members who've helped you along the way. And let's be honest, it's not just through law school. I see a baby in the audience. We know that your family, your friends, your loved ones have been there from day one. And they will continue to be there for you. And they deserve a special welcome, as has been provided. I also find it a great pleasure to sit on this dais, not only with Dean Chemerinsky, the #1 top constitutional scholar in the nation, but as you know, the professor of professors, the professor of judges and justices at the state and national level. We flock to hear his constitutional updates, and your distinguished faculty, the best of the best. So of course you are poised for great things because you have been mentored by no greater group of professionals. And of course, from your ranks you've shown great judgment. Mr. Ferrucci has a future. Pick your discipline, Mr. Ferrucci. It's available to you. I want to say in my few moments with you today that you really stand on the threshold of a vision of great things for California and the nation. You may be called many things in your career: plaintiff's attorney, defense attorney. You may be called assembly person. You may be called senator. You may be called executive director. Many, many names will come to you. But with your law degree, what you really are collectively are agents of change. And that is a huge responsibility because you have the scholarship and the ability and the knowledge in your community to bring about important change for liberty and justice for all. And I say this now, I have 3 pieces of advice, only in terms of how you can be an effective agent of change over the next 60 years of your profession. And the first is the golden rule. To be an effective agent of change, you have to treat others like you would like to be treated. And let me unpack that for those of you who like an outline. It really means acting with civility in all professional and interpersonal aspects. It means keeping your word. And if your word should change, it means giving notice to the other side that the circumstances have changed. It means acting with integrity. And that doesn't just mean acting as if you would if it were ever reported on the front page of the Orange Register. It really means embodying those characteristics, because no matter how many cases you win or lose, or the judgments that you recover, your name will be synonymous with your reputation. And so to be an effective agent of change, you must guard and cultivate and build that foundation and apply the golden rule in everything you do. The second thing I want to tell you about being an agent of change is two parts. And first, you already know that you have to test the rule of law. You have to push it and apply it and see it in different consequences and terms. But I ask you especially to test the unspoken rules that permeate the legal profession. And by that I mean the traditions of promotion and meritocracy and patrilineal positions. I ask you to think of those, because there'll come a time in your career, very soon for some of you, where your personal professional trajectory will interface with your personal balance in your life. And you'll have to make some changes, and you'll have to collectively collaborate with others to bring about change for the unspoken rule out there, to have liberty and justice for all. And for that I mean you're going to need to consider the rules and whether they apply to you anymore, or even apply to the profession, or should they be, or should in fact you shed some sunshine on those lights. And I say you that because there was a time in my career when I was on my trajectory and I wanted a family. And I knew from my peers and my competitors in business and law that, that was probably considered the beaten path, the off-beaten path. And so finally, engaging what you all have, which I just tell my children are your belly brains, your instincts. You have to choose what is right for you, even though it may not look like what is right for everyone else and what has been traditionally right for those unspoken rules. And so for me, I went into deep cover, brownies, Girl Scouts, class mom, volleyball mom, baseball mom, basketball mom, and forego all legal fraternities and organizations and dinners and galas for several years. And then tried to make a comeback. Do what you can, work hard, employ the golden rule, and it's possible. But you need the balance, and the balance ultimately comes down to a decision that you make about yourself and what you need at the time. The last thing I want to see about being an effective agent of change, you already know because you embody it, and that is the justice gap. And by that I mean you probably are not aware of the numbers, but in your actions you have met the numbers. You are looking to alleviate the social injustices. And that is, we know that 4.5 million people come to the California courts where 10 million cases are adjudicated yearly without representation. You've just gone through 3 years of law school, you're about to take the bar. Can you imagine being self-represented in court over matters most dear to your heart? And we know that 90% of the litigants in family court and home court, or in terms of foreclosure court, are self-represented. That means they look for their family and for their home, and they face an incomprehensible, sometimes, justice system, and they're alone. We also know by numbers that for every one legal aid attorney, there are 8,300 impoverished, low-income Californians in need of legal aid. We also know that in practice, of 165,000 attorneys approximately in the state bar, about 700 of them are devoted to legal aid. But legal aid, the pro bono, our justice gap, to help those for really it means liberty and justice for all, they need our attention. Forget the numbers, forget the statistics about jobs and who has them and who doesn't. There is a need for your scholarship and your compassion, and you've embodied it. And so I hope that as you graduates of UCI go out in the world and change others because you're in their midst, that you stand for furthering the social compact. Congratulations to all of you. We're excited with your scholarship and your learning, and I think that the entire legal community smiles upon you. Thank you.